I only have one positive thing to say today, but I'll get to that soon, George. And it has to do with the Astros not being in the ALCS, thankfully. But I'll get to it later. It's the Seattle Mariners podcast, and we're here to talk about some of the disappointments of the season. Some highs, some lows. There's one side of the ball that's good, and the other side of the ball that's not. And another year, George. That's what 22 out of 23 years without the playoffs.
Yeah, and how many years has the franchise now been around? 54? 1977 all the way. I am so bad at math,
48.
man. 48 years. Maybe on our 50th anniversary, we'll finally win a World Series.
Wait a second. 1977. So you'll have 50 years in
2027.
So the next this was our 48th. So there's going to be the 49th. Yeah.
So whatever, guys. It doesn't matter. We'll figure I think I'm really bad.
I will tell you this, George. Wikipedia says as of 2024, the franchise has finished with a losing record in 30 out of 48 seasons.
Okay, there you go. So maybe on our 50th season, we'll win a World Series. Let me tell you one thing about the Seattle Mariners team. As bad as I am at math, they're as bad as getting on.
It's as bad as. This is an awful start to the show, George. Okay. Mariners are not good at making the playoffs, and we have all figured that out. And it was a disappointing season. I want to start with this, okay? Let's just start with something, a fact and something to talk about here.
Okay, I like facts. Give me facts.
You're listening to the Sports ONTAP Seattle podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me, as always, is my older brother, George.
Your favorite place to be a fan of Seattle sports. Now let's get this party started.
This was by Dick Fan, the one that's on Seattle Sports Radio.
Yeah.
He tweeted this. He said, not counting tiebreakers, the Mariners have missed the playoffs 5 times by a combined 8 games since 2014. Wow. In the last 10 years, we've missed 5 times by a combined 8 games. In 2014, we missed by 1 game. 2016 by 3 games. 2021 by 2 games. Last year by 1 game. And this year by 1 game. And I'll start by saying this. It's a prime example of why a lot of people get frustrated with Mariners ownership, why they get frustrated with the front office, which probably directly ties to ownership. Every year recently, it's like the last 10 years since we signed like Cano back in the day, the Mariners have always put a pretty quality piece of team out there.
Yeah,
they've always found a way to not spend enough or like make a move or two where they're just a game or two short.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't feel like it ever just falls our way, right? Like where it's, I don't know. Last year the Diamondbacks went to the World Series, they had 84 wins and got in the playoffs and made the World Series. I feel like that one
for us, yeah.
Yeah, like we never get that thing to fall our way, and it is very disappointing. I am waiting for the day we can finally come up on this podcast and celebrate a World Series or like a super long playoff run. But it feels so close, but yet so far away. Because I think we all know what it will take to get over that hump. And I know it's not in baseball. It's not always about how much money you spend. Look at the Tigers today. The Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2010. But I feel like that's what we're missing. Just that little extra spend to get us over the hump, and spending on a bat, to be frank, and getting lucky with it. Like, yeah, spend money and actually have it pan out. It's sometimes like I'm so dang like scared if we go sign like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or we trade for him and bring him in. We're not going to. I know that he's not going to hit the ball anymore. It's just like I feel cursed. I feel like we could come in and bring in Shohei Ohtani this year, and he would have had, instead of a 50-50 season, and this is no offense to Julio, we'll be celebrating his 2020 season.
Yeah, well, I agree and disagree for the first time ever with this statement, because outside of, okay, it's kind of weird. This year, you're right, actually. I take that back. But you're right. The important players always seem to do that. But this year, the 2 important players were Jorge Polanco and Mitch Garver, and they did also forget how to play baseball, and they had their worst years of their careers.
Until the end of the season, Polanco looked good at the end of the year.
Looked okay.
Okay, looked okay.
Okay. But Mitch Garver had a good last 3 games when we were out of playoff contention. But the weird thing this year was we had 3 players that we actually kind of hit on that were supposed to not be that big of a deal, which Luke Raley had a pretty decent season. He actually had a better season than we all expected, probably. He was very good for us. Victor Robles was going to be out of the league and came in and he batted 70 with his Mariners in 90 games or whatever.
Yeah,
insane.
He was unbelievable.
Justin Turner also came in, and Justin Turner just did what Justin Turner did, and they're probably going to bring him back, which they should. But the biggest issue still, when we forget all that, those were their cheap acquisitions that worked, right? But then there's also the flip side to things where you could say, why do we always have to shed salary, even when it's a player that's not that expensive? And I'll tell you where I'm going with this. Teoscar Hernandez goes to the Dodgers and is an all-star this year. It was a 1-year, $20 million contract. Could we have just brought him back instead of signing Mitch Garver for 2 years, $24 million?
Yeah, we could have been, instead of trading for, we probably thought, okay, the combination of Garver and Polanco is going to be better than Hernandez. It wasn't.
Okay, but there's big timeout on that is Garver and Hernandez were both free agents. Polanco was a trade. It's same price. One was for 2 years, one was for 1 year. Actually, Teoscar was cheaper than Garver technically, over just for, just in terms of 24 million versus 20 million. But it was 1 year.
That's true.
He was an all-star. And then you get rid of Gino to salary dump. He goes to Arizona. He had a bad month or two, and he still ended up batting 260 with 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. And they had the most runs scored for a team in all of baseball. And everybody loves him over there, just like they loved him in Seattle. Things like that, it's just did we really need to salary dump? What if we didn't salary dump and then made the moves we made, like bringing in a Victor Robles and bringing in a Justin Turner mid-season? We're probably talking about 1 or 2 more wins, which gets you in the playoffs.
Well said. So yeah, it's a good rant.
But why? Why?
Because our ownership group, look, maybe this ownership group just doesn't have the money. Really actually doesn't have the money. I can't think of any other reasons. They know there's so much pressure from the fan base, media. Everyone's like, you guys sell the team, spend money, and they don't do it.
I'm just going to tell you something. I saw a tweet the other day. I don't want to hear one of the 150 richest men in America that don't have money.
Maybe he doesn't have enough money. You don't need the 150.
But they do have enough money. We're the most profitable team in baseball. They have the money.
Well, maybe it's all revenue share, but guess what? If he's only part owner of a team, there's a big group. You know what we need? We need a guy who's not the 100 top 150. We need a Jeff Bezos guy who's come here and be I'm spending my money and throwing it out there. I make the decisions. We don't have
at least somebody that cares. The White Sox had the worst season ever, and their owner put out a 12 paragraph, this is so embarrassing what happened this year. We're so sorry. We hope this never happens again. Mariners will miss the playoffs again by 1 game and shed salary, and then the post thank you fans. That's it.
Yeah, I know. God, man. I don't know. This offseason is so crucial.
Yeah, and speaking of that was perfect timing, George. You know why that's perfect timing? I had this tweet waiting for you. I'm going to do a little rambling here.
Before you go to the tweet, can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
Are we not? I read somewhere we're not going to be picking up Polanco's contract.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
Okay, but that's what I saw on Reddit today.
On Reddit.
Yeah, Reddit. That's where I like to go get my Mariners news.
I like to get my Mariners news from
from Sports Illustrated. Seattle Mariners reportedly expected to decline option on Jorge Polanco.
Reportedly by who? It's important.
By Sports Illustrated.
I know, but by who? Did
I'm checking.
Ryan Divish put this out? Did
Adam Jude?
Okay, so that means it's likely. Which whatever.
Can I read this for you? According to Adam Jude of the Seattle Times, the Seattle Mariners are expected to decline the team option on infielder Jorge Polanco. And now my favorite paragraph, Polanco. Doing so, this would save the Mariners about $12 million in salary commitments for 2025.
Yes, Sports Illustrated is the only place that posted that, though, so it's just a little weird. But I mean, if he reported it, that's fine. But that's what I was trying to get to here. Anyway, so Adam Jude put out this whole thing about the offseason, right? And this is what they said. They said they're going to increase salary about, maybe $5 to $10 million from John Stanton. But then they went in. What is clear? The Mariners do not intend to dive deep into the free agent pool this winter. Shocker. Which means they won't pursue the likes of Juan Soto or Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman or any high-priced veteran. Not because they can't afford it. Stanton has explained. So sorry to tell you, George. Not that he can't. He said it. Not the fans this time. Not that they can't afford it. But because as a matter of baseball economics, Mariners don't want to pay top dollar for aging players. The scars of Robinson Cano's 11-year contract is a fresh wound. We got the resources to be able to do things we need to do to put a good team on the field. And I like this Marine Layer podcast tweet, friends of the show. Robinson Cano in Seattle, OPS of 826, 3 All-Star games, 2 top 10 MVP finishes. The reason Nelson Cruz signed, which we ended up also, we traded him and ended up getting Jared Kelenic, who was supposed to be good. This is just another year of like an excuse that has no legs to it.
Yeah, I mean, Sammy, let me tell you something, okay?
Not that we can't afford it.
We live here in Phoenix, Arizona, right? There's a place called Steak 44, the most expensive steak in town, right? A lot of times someone will be like, you want to go to Steak 44 this week? Like, nah, I'm okay. Not that I can't afford it.
No, sometimes I can't afford it.
I know.
Sometimes I can't afford a $500 dinner.
I understand, but some people say, I can't afford it when they can afford it. And then say, I'd rather cook a steak at home. I can't justify paying that much for dinner. That's what it sounds like John Stanton's saying. And maybe he can't afford it. I'm not saying he can't.
That has nothing to do with baseball, though, because baseball, to win a lot of times, I'm not saying to make the playoffs. I'm saying to win a World Series, which should be the goal. Everyone wants to talk about low salary for all the Tigers. Who's going to win the World Series, George? Just like last year, a team like the Rangers, who had 3 guys with $200-300 million
or the
plus.
Dodgers, who just got Shohei Ohtani, or the Yankees have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge.
Well, the Rangers aren't in the playoffs this year. I was saying like last year. I was getting to that part where it's going to be probably a team like Phillies or the Yankees or the Mets, who now are getting hot after they spend a lot of money. One of those teams will probably win.
Yep. And it is so frustrating, though, man. It really is. Like you dream of like going out and getting a guy like Juan Soto, which I know we can't afford, but we're not going to go get him. But you dream of it, right? You think of him like in your dreams. The San Diego Padres went and did it. Kind of failed at some level, but they retooled right away. Got rid of Soto. Back in the playoffs now. They're about to. If they win tonight, they're in next round of a play. Like, you can spend money, and guess what? If it doesn't work out, you can find a way to trade the guy always.
Yeah, they also didn't just sign Juan Soto. They went for like Bogarts and Tatis and Manny Machado. One of them didn't work, so they're like, okay, we'll maybe get rid of one of them. But we're at the point where the Mariners say, like, we're not willing to have any of them. We're not willing to take a risk on any of them. Meanwhile, you see a lot of teams that are in the World Series.
Is Mitch Haniger going to be available again?
Yeah, that's probably what they're thinking. Oh, Mitch Garver, we can pick up his options. Not that bad of a price. He had 3 home runs in the last 10 games. Like, that's the way they look at it. So at the end of the day, it's frustrating. Like, at the end of the day, I know the Mariners have the money. Let's forget about Pete Alonso and whoever you want to mention. They have the money to probably sign 1 or 2 guys that would get us over the hump of those 5 missed playoffs by 8 games in the last 10 years. They probably have the money to go get a guy they had, like a Teoscar Hernandez, for 1 year, $20 million. They probably have the money to keep a guy like Gino for not a $500 million contract, right? Which he's not. So, like, they have that. So let's say you want to, maybe Stanton's saying it's not that we don't have the money just to make the fans happy. Like, okay, he has money. Maybe they'll make some moves. Well, if that's the case, then at least keep the minor moves like reasonable, right? Now, there are some reasonable ones they made, like trying to bring in Mitch Garver. But at the end of the day, it would have been better if they brought in Mitch Garver. What if you re-signed Teoscar Hernandez and kept Gino? I promise you, with whatever their WAR is combined,
we would have won 1 extra game.
Yeah, and been in the race. And we probably would have won 1 or 2 extra games where we didn't, our bats didn't go completely cold, and then we blew it in the 8th and 9th inning. So
that's sad.
It is. It's sad when you look at guys like having extreme success elsewhere. I mean, Jesse Winker's in the playoffs, like getting triples, bro. Like, I know he had a bad year last year too, but like,
we'll probably go get Jesse Winker now.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think there's some bad ties there.
Yeah, there is very bad ties there.
But the point is, like, there's, I don't know. It feels like the year we made the playoffs, I felt like we kind of stuck around with some of those pieces, like the Jesse Winker pieces and the Carlos Santana pieces, and kind of just like, okay, like some of these guys, like Carlos Santana is maybe a little expensive for his age, but like let's stick with it, and it got us into the playoffs, and
Yeah,
we had a nice little run. But even Adam Frazier, like guys like that, at the end of the day, I know they attempted. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they didn't attempt it, because Jorge Polanco and Mitch Garver are supposed to be a good signing. But it's just that there's probably more they could do and afford, regardless of the Juan Sotos and Pete Alonsos of the world. There's probably more they could have done, and they know that, but they're just unwilling. I think John Stanton's fine missing the playoffs by one game and having 2.5 million people come out to the ballpark and making a lot of money.
I think he's totally fine with that. I'm going to share my screen here real quick and just kind of go through some of the top free agents, Sammy, that we got coming in to baseball this year. Let's see if any of them spark your interest. These are the top 20 free agents according to CBS Sports. Not affording Juan Soto.
No,
we don't need a right-handed pitcher.
No, nope.
Nope.
They're not going to sign Chapman. We already saw that. They're not going to sign him.
We're not going to sign him.
No.
They're basically saying no.
No.
This is where you don't think it could happen.
Let's see what his salary was last year.
All right, we'll go through the rest of it.
He also batted 235 he batted 44 home runs with 235, and he's 29 years old. So let's see what
that's exactly what we like, a 235 hitter.
235 with 44 home runs. Well, his salary was 1 year $11.7 million. So they probably won't do that.
All right. Scherzer, no. Bieber, no. Look at this. They're not bringing him back.
They won't do it.
Christian
Walker's been so good for the last 2 years. He's not going to do it.
All right.
He's going to get a good contract. I genuinely believe none of those. Christian Walker might be the only one that's like a possibility, because first base is like serious issue. But like, what is Christian Walker going to demand? Let me just check his stats for the last.
Yeah,
this year was 251 with 26 home runs of a 2.6 WAR, which is already probably out of their budget. And last year was 258 with 33 home runs, 23rd in MVP.
Yeah, it's probably out of our budget.
And he's 33. They don't want aging veterans. Let's not forget that.
All right, well, those are the top 20 free agents. Like, what we're going back to scrap heaps, unless we make a big trade. But what I don't want to give up any of our pitchers, to be honest with you. I like having this pitching staff that this is dominant. I don't want to give up Logan Gilbert.
Well, it sounds like that's probably where they lean. I think there was a report that, if they're going to get a big batter or something like that, I think it was from Adam Jude too, where like they might be willing to part with one of their young, good pitchers. And I think that's the reality, because George,
I know
they're not going to give Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, and George Kirby and Bryce Miller $100 million. And they're all going to be pitchers that, like Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, forget if you think they're superstars or all-stars yet. The way they're trending in a few years, they could get a 5-year, $100 million contract.
Easily.
And Kirby and Logan Gilbert, maybe more. And they already paid Castillo that. So
don't you love being a Mariners fan?
It would just be nice. I know it fails sometimes when you overpay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it works every time. It's not worked for the Mets sometimes. Now, even though they made a nice little comeback as a team into making it work, it doesn't work for every team. But I feel like trend shows that if you sign your young guys that are really good and find a way to keep people happy, you'll find a way to succeed a little bit better than the way we've succeeded. One playoff appearance in 23 years is not by any means considered succeeding.
No, it's been the opposite. Maybe the worst run organization in
pro sports,
professional sports. Yeah, I was going to say baseball, then professional sports.
Yeah, baseball. It's not just baseball.
Well, before we go, Sammy, go ahead, give your rant about the Astros.
I'm kind of over it now. I think at the beginning I just said part I'm happy about. I'm just glad the last time Barack Obama was in office, the last time they didn't make the ALDS, or CS, sorry, even worse.
And the DS too.
Yeah. So it's really nice to just have it come to an end, especially because they're all over the Twitter account, always responding, hi, see us cry, blah, blah, blah. Like, all right, whatever, you guys lost to the Detroit Tigers. Feels good.
Yeah. I'm over them. I'm just mad at our front office. That's where I am now.
I'm over them too. I mean, we're not in the playoffs, but it's nice that they're not winning. I'm just
fair.
glad that I can watch the playoffs without like the Astros against this team. Like I just like that I can watch the playoffs in some peace and enjoy some baseball.
All I know is I'm really rooting hard here for a Dodgers Yankees World Series so I can enjoy like some really classic baseball.
I think the MLB's hoping for a Dodgers Yankees. At least Dodgers Yankees or like Phillies Yankees. Those are probably the ones that are.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
even like, I guess honestly, from the NL, they could be pretty happy with the Dodgers, Mets, or Phillies,
Padres, Mets, or the Mets and Yankees in Subway Series. Like
that's why I say, yeah, or Padres. Honestly, there's 4 teams they'd be happy with against the Yankees from the NL. But they want the Yankees.
Yeah.
They don't want the Tigers, the Royals, or the like
Guardians.
Yeah, they want the Yankees to win the AL.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's not even a question. But there's multiple teams in that. Like San Diego against New York would be fun. Like just the crowds and stuff. New York versus New York, Philly, LA. They're all like pretty solid.
Pretty solid. Yeah.
I think the Yankees actually get it this year, though. Personally,
I think so too. Against the Dodgers.
That would actually be electric. But I don't know who I'd root for. I might root for the Dodgers. The Shohei Ohtani. Like he's one of those players that's so like the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
Like you want to see him win once.
I'll be rooting for 7 games is what I'll be rooting for.
Some good baseball. Well, we'll be back soon. We'll be doing some Mariners over the off season. Obviously, it's Seahawks season on this channel, but I'm sure we'll be getting some great reports of the Mariners bringing back Jose Caballero or Colton Wong making his second return. Some very exciting news coming soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe trying to make amends with Jesse Winker.
Yeah. No, Winker's in the playoffs. He's busy.
He's busy. That's right.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully something good. Well, we'll be back soon. We love y'all. We appreciate the support. And George, you know what we like to say?
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
And maybe next year, as always, as a Mariners.
Get him next year, champ.
Yeah, next year it is, once again.